What's cracking, guys? Omar Isaf here, back with another video, but this is not just the video, this is a podcast actually. For those that don't know, I started a podcast with Silent Mike, Quiet Michael, Silencio Michael, Young Michael. We started it 3 months ago. It's called MOMMA'S. So far, the reception has been great. If you're not listening, you should be. It's a podcast, like I said, so there's an audio format, iTunes, Spotify, we're everywhere. Just search Mama's Boys. But there's also a video component, which is what you're about to see. And this one is featuring none other than Jen Thompson, the world's strongest mom. I'm calling it out. Name someone stronger. She currently is the IPF champion, I believe, in the 63 kilo weight class. At 138 pounds, he bench presses 315 pounds in competition. That's no joke. She is insanely strong. I like the idea of giving more exposure to athletes, content creators, artists, musicians that certainly deserve it. And what you'll notice in this 1 hour casual conversation is that there's more than meets the eye. Jen is basically the real life Miss Frizzle. She's a math teacher. She has an iguana. You'll find out a whole lot of details. So check this out. I hope you enjoy this podcast, this 1 hour and 10 minute podcast you're about to see. If you do us a favor, please like this video. Consider going on iTunes, leaving a rating and review. And if you want to listen to more podcasts, we have it on audio, so iTunes, Spotify, SoundCloud, and there's also a dedicated YouTube channel where we already have 25 full episodes. I'll link that in the description. And lastly, you guys can help us out. Leave some recommendations below of who you want to see. The idea, again, behind Mama's Boys podcast, we're here to stay, and honestly, I want to thank everyone for the support so far, is to provide more in-depth, casual conversations with some of your favorite creators. We have Calgary Barbell, Bryce Krawczyk coming up in a week. Then we have Masthetics coming up the week after that. Leave us some suggestions below, but without further ado, let's get this podcast started. Was a powerlifter for a while, very mediocre, her numbers, and then all of a sudden one day she tried to snatch and it just looked so fluid, and so one of the coaches there said, you should do this. She did it and she hit not a national record, but a provincial record, like state record within 6 months. But her powerlifting numbers were mediocre, like very mid-tier.
Those 6 months of cleaning and jerking felt more natural to me than a squat ever did.
Really?
Just because, like, play basketball my whole life, it's just like jumping. It's just like jumping and landing. And like once I kind of could do it with the barbell, I couldn't do any of this, but once you get to kind of jump, I was like jump with the barbell. I was like, I can do that. Squat to depth.
I think the big difference is for me, I feel weightlifting, like a lot could go wrong real quick. But you have to be so much like a high kinesthetic sense of awareness of how your body's moving. Otherwise, if you don't, like, this arm's not locked out, barbell falls on your head, you're done. Whereas like parallel, everything always feels like kind of like tight and right. If you miss, you miss, but tight, you know, tight and right.
You can right mistakes, I think, like in powerlifting.
Yeah.
You can get a little bit off, but then work it out and figure it out and get through it roughly. Where I'm not so sure about.
Yeah, we don't know what we're doing with weightlifting.
Yeah, be perfect.
Yeah.
Or is it?
Yeah.
Tokyo 2020, we're not in it.
No.
We'll
be watching on TV.
We'll be watching on TV, however, yeah.
Intro us, buddy. Lead the way.
Well, welcome to the Mama's Boys podcast with your hosts, Silencio Michael, Young Silent Michael, and me, Omar Isaf. We have a very special guest today, the strongest lifter that's ever been on our podcast.
Man.
We have, which is true,
and
the first strongest mom, the real, let's just call it out, the real Miss Frizzle, which we'll get to that story. I don't know. Did you see that a photo of her benching?
School bus, Miss Frizzle. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, have you seen the meme?
No.
She's benching like 4 reds.
Oh.
So 484.
Yeah,
so she's in some episodes. So we watched it growing up, and it was, I love Magic School Bus. But all of a sudden, it became a meme where apparently she's benching 4 reds in one video in one of the episodes. Yeah.
I'm going to have to find that.
Well, you're the real Miss Frizzle.
Yeah.
What I was going to say right before we begin, we want to thank our sponsor, Kaizen Training. Kaizen Training is started by ourselves, myself, Mike, and Bart. We offer training programs.
So cool.
Whether your goal is to lose weight, build muscle, or get stronger, check out the programs at Kaizen Training. That's KIZEN training.com.
What do you say, Zed?
Well, it's Zed or Z. What is it, Nigel?
Zed.
It's Zed in Canada.
In Canada, they call it Zed.
Thank you.
Because we grew up in Detroit, so we would get some
you grew up in
Canadian
Detroit?
stations
My mom's from
over.
Windsor.
Yes.
Yeah.
So we would get like Canadian Sesame Street. And
really?
all the alphabet, and then we'd be like Zed at the end.
I don't think I've ever heard Zed.
Yeah.
Whoa.
We'd always be like, oh, I got the Canadian station.
That's so. You would you say, because I don't really detect an accent, would you say how long did you live in Detroit for?
We moved, I think when I was 24.
Okay.
Moved down to Charlotte.
Okay.
So I was there most of my life.
Right in Detroit, or?
Out just about 30 minutes outside of Detroit. I grew
Okay.
up in this town called Rochester, and then I spent my college years in a town called Royal Oak.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm trying to hear for that, but like that Michigan, my aunt who's lives in Windsor, she kind of has like the a little bit. She'll say like that stuff is really
You
funny.
even get a little bit of that here in Columbus or Cleveland. There's a little bit.
Yeah.
We say a lot of A, and like my kids will make fun of me. My students will make fun of me if I go back home for a little bit. When I come back, like it reminds you of how to talk, and so they're like, "Why are you saying like notes and stuff?
Yeah,
like what is wrong with you? Notes?"
What about a southern accent from where the area you live now? Is it pretty bad?
Yeah, for those that were like born and raised there, it's really thick.
Yeah.
But there's so many transplants there now that you don't see like a ton of it.
Yeah.
So it's really been infiltrated by the North, which they're not really happy about.
Wow.
You know?
That's like New York. You go to New York and it's hard to find a New York accent because there's so many freaking people from everywhere.
Yeah, just visiting. I think when we were there, we spoke with so many people, and everyone's like, "I'm from here." It's like LA. No one is from LA, but everyone goes to LA to try and make stuff happen.
For those that don't know, Jen Thompson, 314 bench officially?
Yeah, 314.2. If you want to get specific.
Oh, you're a mathematics teacher. You get
3.2.
We don't even care about competitions because we're Instagram lifters. 325 in the gym? 320?
Yeah, I hit 320 at the Warehouse a couple weeks ago.
Cool. Yeah.
But like a year ago, I did the 325 at Liberty College that was on the internet. Went kind of crazy.
And then what body weight? Just say that.
Normally
it's
we don't
insane.
ask ladies their body weight, but in powerlifting it's okay.
We need to know.
It was probably like 136, 137.
Jeez.
Insane strength. Squat and deadlift also very strong by any normal human standards, and even insanely strong in powerlifting standards.
Yeah.
One of our favorite powerlifters, and we're here excited to chat.
For Mama's Boys, we talk about a variety of different things, a lot of different guests, and we try and stay a little bit away from fitness just because that's what we're known for. But you deserve all the exposure in the world. The other thing that has to be noted about that bench press is that, often is the case when people try and maximize the bench press, when we talk about the arch or what their technique will be, you have a long range of motion.
I know, I got long arms, monkey arms.
Yeah, it ain't a short range of motion. It is the longest it can be.
Yeah, no gymnastics arch, no nothing.
Yeah.
No, I'm not bendy like that.
Yeah.
And they're you can only do so much with the length of your arms. Like your arch can help you only so much, but I don't know.
You make do.
You make do.
What brought you into the sport? Did you play some any other sports or anything growing up?
I was a runner in high school. I did road races in college, and then I met my husband. We were roommates in just a rental house in college.
Yeah.
And he learned how to lift weights in the Army.
Oh, cool.
And he had this group of guys, and they had weights in our rental house in the basement. Like they'd bought them, they made them, and like every day they'd go down there for like hours and work out and have fun. I could hear them laughing and joking and stuff. And we weren't dating at the time, but every time he'd say, "Come on, Jen, running's crap. Just come down and lift. You'll love lifting weights. It'll be better." And I'm like, "Okay, whatever." And so finally one day I said yes. Because I just sort of wanted to see what they were doing down there, like what they were laughing about.
Yeah.
It took them so long.
Yeah, hours of lifting. You're like, what are you doing?
I don't know they were actually lifting for hours,
Well,
but they were down there for hours.
Yeah, that's the best part.
That's the best part of powerlifting. The rest.
Locker room, hanging out.
Yeah.
And I've always had like more guy friends than girlfriends, so I was good with that. And so I just started. I started with the bar, and they were really good at coaching me through it. And we did crazy workouts back then. I look back at what we did. I'm like, we were just insane. We would do all body parts in like 2 days and take 1 day off, and then do it again and take 1 day off.
Full bodybuilding. I love it.
Like it was like that. So I just started noticing I was building strength, and I was like, oh my gosh. And then I started outlifting some of his buddies,
That's
were
amazing.
there.
Do you remember like how many years to 225 bench or anything like that? Just roughly.
I'm trying to think. I think we moved down to North Carolina when I was like 27 or 28. So probably, I bet it took me 6 or 7 years.
Yeah, to bench 225.
Yeah.
That's insane. That's insane, though. There's like when we talk about just female standards, like that 225 bench. A 225 bench is insane.
Yeah, anyone know Kevin?
Yeah.
Yeah, the basketball. He doesn't. Or what?
Yeah, the NBA combine is a 185-pound bench because it makes sense, right? You're not playing football.
Yeah.
It's
supposedly.
basketball.
Supposedly he couldn't do it for once.
Yeah, there you go.
I believe it.
Yeah. You should call him out. We should all make a video, go viral, and call him out, because then he did a fake video on Instagram.
Fake plate?
Yeah. but he did it on purpose, so you know it's
okay.
fake. But he benched 315.
Oh,
I
okay.
think like gets up and dances or something.
So you
call him out.
you just bench actually
That would be
315
amazing.
and call him out.
He has a YouTube channel, so I bet
really?
you we could get his attention.
Let's do it.
That's
That would be
possible.
so funny.
It's funny how many people though they think like, oh, I can do 225. It's no big deal. But like if they actually try it, like
Yeah.
it crushes.
No,
them.
I remember
You know,
my
it's
first time.
not-
I think I started benching in like 7th or 8th grade for sport, and probably didn't bench 225 till sophomore year. And I was a big kid. I was like 180 pounds as a sophomore.
Yeah.
That took me 3 years, and I weighed double you.
Yeah,
Right.
no, and I remember at university when I started lifting, the old you ask your friend for a spot.
Oh yeah.
And
they were doing half of it.
oh yeah, but it was the standard practice, and everyone did it. So I remember I benched after the first year like 245, but my buddy had his hands on the bar and it was like a bouncing. It was just the worst thing ever.
You're doing like a free fall and a recoil, and then you so last
Kicking
bit
the
of
sternum.
it.
It moves so far. It's like a trampoline press. I remember then when I came back from the university, I tried to train with my brother, and I'm like, oh yeah, I got a 245 bench I want to do for like maybe a double. So I'm like, just spot me. He hasn't been lifting in a while. He's like, yeah, sure. So I go to bench it. I just get stapled at the bottom, and I'm like, help. I'm like, dude, you're supposed to help me. And he's like,
He's like,
what?
I can't get that off you.
Yeah, he's like, hands on the bar. He's like, what? Why? I'm like, all right, that's just guys.
In the time nowadays, social media, we were just talking about it in the lobby a little bit, USAPL, all these things are going nuts. Strength is cool now.
Yeah.
Even girls that, do bikini or physique or whatever their actual competition, they're even into strength. They're squatting their off season, they're deadlifting their off season, they're counting their PRs on a
Absolutely.
thrust or whatever it might be.
The
Strength
RPs.
is cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, they really are. They
Yeah.
really are. Everyone thinks that it's cool now. It's like
Right.
a hip thing to do.
Strength has finally crossed over to mainstream fitness.
Yeah.
But back then, when you were really like benching 225, you were probably the strongest chick. You already are the strongest chick on the planet now, but you were the strongest chick by miles.
Yeah, but like there was nothing back then. Like there was like Powerlifting USA magazine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you would
Yeah.
find out like the results of a competition like a couple months later.
Yeah.
Like there wasn't like the internet. Like the only one that knew I was doing that, and we lifted in our basement, right? So it was really just us, and like nobody knew.
Yeah,
and
no
like
YouTube,
I
no
don't know
nothing.
how many people like subscribed to Powerlifting USA,
Yeah.
but I don't think it was.
Yeah, it was. Did you have to go on Powerlifting Watch ever to see results and stuff?
Yes.
Yeah, but that was way after.
Oh, yeah,
yeah.
Powerlifting USA was even
90s, right?
Yeah,
It's
it was-
70s, 80s.
So-
Yeah.
Yeah.
There was in the 90s, early 2000s,
Yeah.
and I think they, after that. But like, so like just nobody knew
Yeah.
really. Like for a long time, like it's so funny for me now, like social media and how many people are like, oh, you're doing this much. I've been doing it for so
Yeah.
long, but nobody knew.
Yeah. Did
Yeah.
you know what you were doing was insane?
Yeah. Like, what was your
no.
perspective when you bench 225? Were you like, holy shit, 225? Or you just think like, I want to bench more than this?
No, I don't know. I'm always just looking
yeah.
for the next weight. Like
Yeah.
I don't really process it that much.
And
Like,
even like 90s or early 2000s, strength wasn't cool. It wasn't even cool for guys. Guys were posing or doing
Right.
machines at that
yeah.
point. How did you ever find any other ladies lifting weights?
no, not really. Like, I mean, we lifted at home, but like when we would go on vacation and go to like we would go Gold's Gym or Powerhouse or something, like there was no girls in the free weight area.
Yeah.
And then me being in there gave a lot of stares, right? And so it was awkward.
Yeah.
Like you just felt like everyone was like staring at you like the whole time. So I would like try to not to look at anyone, but you could look in the mirror and see them all staring at you, behind you.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, 'cause, I mean, don't get me wrong, you're built and you have plenty of muscle, but it's not like you walk through the door like, oh my god, bodybuilder.
Yeah.
You're just
Yeah.
like,
Bodybuilder Jen Thompson in the house.
it's way different, and then to
Yeah.
see someone move some real serious weight, it's insane.
Yeah, I guess one of the questions before we go on to your competitions, how do you deal with maybe, I can only imagine it must be rough, like social media or maybe like YouTube, like you did some videos with Meg squats. But I have to say, ego can be terrible when it comes to lifting, especially amongst guys, where guys
Especially
get
young
so
guys, yeah.
insecure where
Right.
videos get shared around, where it's like, oh, like this woman benched all this weight. It's like, there must be an arch, there must be
fake
this.
plates,
Yeah.
Yeah, or like then they'll see you. It's like, they'll be like, oh, like it must be like steroids. And I remember like I in a video like I jumped in and defended you. It's like, God,
Aw,
like, you
thanks.
just I'm like you just have to accept the fact like you're just
Yeah, you
weaker.
just
Like
suck.
you're just weaker. But
You're weak. You're
and I would say actually across the gender split, like I had on my channel Steffi Cohen. And like she hit that like untested record, and then people were like calling, like just being angry at her for lifting all that weight. And I'm like,
Right.
well, guys, it's like Dan Green, same thing. Like he hits a record,
Or
like
just
untested,
Luna.
same category, and no one bats an eye whatsoever. He pulls sumo, exact same thing.
Yeah.
And so I do think there is a bit of
You
a double
pull sumo.
standard.
Facebook doesn't count.
Yes,
Yeah, that's right. You're cheating.
I think there is a double standard, and I think it quite frankly intimidates a lot of guys.
Yeah.
But how do you deal with that? Like, what's your perspective on this? You seem very level-headed, but like,
It doesn't bother me.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, if I don't know you, I don't care about your opinion of me. You
Yeah.
know, so like usually, and it's just stupid guys saying stupid things. So why would I care?
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
and usually somebody
Yeah.
will speak up for me, and I don't have to say anything.
Yeah.
Like I did, I think I hit 315 before this, and on Instagram, like one guy, like the 103rd comment was fake plates.
Oh.
And then my husband went on there and like, oh, it usually happens before 100 comments. Like,
Yeah.
we actually got to 100 before
Yeah.
someone said fake plates, and he said, watch the Arnold, you'll see what happens.
Yeah, well, that's the difference now too. Is obviously been competing for a long time.
Yeah.
Also, like, sure, there's some people that are so naive that don't understand that
Yeah.
either. But these things are very expensive plates because they're so highly calibrated
Right.
to be exact.
Right. When I did the Liberty College one, their plates had like open holes in the 45.
Yeah, I've gotten that.
And
Yeah.
so many people are like, those clearly aren't 45 pounds. You can see the holes in them.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
They just can't
have
accept
to laugh.
reality.
I've gotten that,
You have
yeah.
to laugh at shit like that. It's just funny.
Because as much as it has grown within our world and our niche, Omar's been doing YouTube and powerlifting for about 10 years. I've been
Yeah.
coaching in powerlifting 10 years. You've been doing it longer than both of us. It's grown insane amounts, even though it's the
Yeah.
last 5 years exponentially. But there's still such a world out there that doesn't know what a deadlift is.
Oh, yeah.
Has no clue. And then maybe they know what a deadlift is because of whatever, they have no clue what powerlifting is. They have no clue about the rules. They have no
Yeah.
clue about anything.
Yeah. So I don't know. I just let it roll.
yeah.
That stuff doesn't bother me.
Well, that's a very mature, smart thing to do. I just see that. I'm like, come on, man. Like, really, like, as Mike says as often, where he says confidence will solve a lot of problems when it comes
peace.
to, yeah,
That's right.
you're
That's my theory.
Yeah.
I'll write a
That's a
book
good
on it
one.
one day. It'll
That's
be
a
like a
good one.
page.
Yeah.
but I was gonna say, you said 225. It took you about, you said 6 years.
6 or 7,
Yeah.
yeah.
That's it. So when did you go from training with your then boyfriend, now a husband, in that basement, to then deciding, hey, you know what, I want to compete? Like, how does one, especially, and I think a lot of people don't realize this, is that raw powerlifting only really became a thing or resurfaced maybe 6-7
Yeah.
years ago. We're talking now, what, like at least 20 years ago.
Right.
So what made you think, oh, obviously, like, I lift great numbers, but I want to compete? Like, how does that work?
Well, I didn't even know like powerlifting was a sport, and
Okay.
we were on our honeymoon in Venice Beach, California,
Yeah.
and they had like a outdoor bench press competition
Yeah, yeah.
there at the little
Yeah,
open
yeah.
area.
Yeah.
And so I'd kind of been wanting to do something. So I knew I was getting strong, but I knew like at the time like fitness was big.
Yeah.
But like I'm not a gymnast.
So like aerobics, right? Like
Yeah,
doing
aerobics.
like burpees and then a backflip.
Well, this,
and then,
you had to do like a whole routine.
Yeah.
It was kind of like there's like a bathing suit component
Yeah,
to
yeah.
it, and then like a gymnastics sort of dance. You had to
think-
do like a thing to it.
I think they still do that at the Olympics.
Yeah.
It's obviously way smaller, but I think it's still.
Yeah.
That was like the CrossFit
Yeah.
back then. That
Yeah.
was big, but I'm like, I don't want to wear a bathing suit and be like, I'm not coordinated. Like,
Yeah.
I couldn't do any sort of gymnastics type dancing or anything, And so that was big. And then bodybuilding was it was the really big girls,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I still didn't want to just prance around in a bathing suit. No offense to anybody, but
Yeah, sure.
I
Not
wanted
for
to
you.
show my strength, not
Yeah.
my physique. So we saw that, and I'm like, I can do this.
Yeah.
I can do this. So
Did you
I-
see a lady do it or no?
no, it
Just
was
a guy?
guys,
Yeah.
and it was Bob DeCourt.
Okay.
I still remember his name way back when, and Bo Moore.
Yeah.
Lift-
Both
Oh,
still
Bill
around.
Moore, yeah, he
Yes,
was lifting
and
in
he's
the cage.
just coming back
yeah,
now.
Yeah, it's amazing.
I'm pretty sure he was there.
Yeah.
And so we stopped and talked to him. And so we're like, what is this powerlifting and this? I mean, I didn't know anything about it. So we chatted with them for a little bit, and they showed us the records. And I'm like, oh, I'm doing the American record right now.
Yeah.
Like, this is cool. So I did my first meet, I think in 98 up in Michigan. We were up in Detroit. And actually, it was so funny. I was walking through the expo today, and this girl stops me, and she's like, can I get my picture with you? And she's like, yeah. I'm like, yeah. And she's like, I live in Michigan, and I have a pretty good bench, but you have all the records.
Yeah.
And there's no way I'm ever going to
Yeah.
Gotta move.
You gotta go out of state. You gotta move. You
Gotta
gotta
go
move.
to
not
Illinois.
fair.
Yeah, that bench record ain't budging. Let me tell you something. What's the next highest in your weight class for your the bench press?
I want to say it's somewhere like around 225 maybe.
Yeah. Yeah.
The-
Well, I mean, how many ladies have benched 314 in the IPF or USAPL?
Not many. Most like two, like in all of the weight classes.
all weight
in
classes.
all weight
Two.
classes. Yeah, like
The equivalent, how dominant you are in the bench press would be the equivalent if Usain Bolt, instead of running like a 9.64, if he ran like an 8.5.
Yeah, I don't know if-
and everyone else ran like a 9.9.
I don't know if we have a good analogy. I don't know if we have a good analogy. Maybe the Celtics in basketball in the 80s.
Yeah.
There's not many analogies that we can compare.
Pistons in the 90s.
You're a Detroit gal.
Yeah, I know.
It's fun. Like I said, my mom's from Windsor, and there's like a lot like just probably like going over to Detroit because like around then when my mom grew up, there's like Motown, which was like the big thing, like Stevie Wonder.
Red
all those
Wings,
things.
Stanley Cups.
Yeah,
Four of them three of them within 4 years.
Do you go back to Detroit at all?
Yeah, we go back once a year. My dad still lives there. He's driving down today with my sister.
Cool.
My,
Oh, that's
my
cool.
aunts and
To
uncles
like
are still there.
How many times have you, has your dad watched you compete? Because now
He
you
comes
competed.
to the Arnold every year.
Oh, really? Cool.
Yeah, I was talking to somebody. He was not like super supportive of me being in the sport in the beginning.
Sure.
Because he comes from he's a very old school.
It's like
kind of
traditional.
guy.
But what was the connotation he had in his head of you lifting
It was
weight?
you're getting muscles, and no daughter of mine's gonna look like a man.
Yeah,
was his comment.
sure. Yeah.
It's just I try to talk
Generational,
to this guy a lot, 'cause,
yeah.
Toronto's very progressive.
Yeah.
Not from California, which is obviously
Yeah.
very progressive, but my dad's from Cleveland.
Yeah.
And it's like the same thing as Michigan.
Yeah.
It's like very Midwest. Even till this day, 2018 is just a little bit different of a culture.
Yeah. So
No.
he got in, like, once I started competing, he started coming, and I started winning.
Yeah.
He's my sister and I have pushed him to evolve a lot
Yeah.
in his beliefs.
As a human, that's amazing. That's
What's your
cool.
sister got going on? Anything?
Well, she
in
just,
the same world?
she's kind of like, she's always been the one that's always been in trouble.
Gotcha.
Oh,
Doing
okay.
well now.
Yeah.
But my dad was, he was a bit prejudiced.
Yeah.
And my dad would always say, no daughters of mine are dating any black men ever.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
my sister only dates black guys.
That's great.
And
Okay.
she's
Yeah.
got a daughter.
Yeah.
That's great.
And he's a good grandpa,
Sure.
and he's accepted, and
Yeah.
he's learned how to do it. I mean, he's had to push these beliefs that he's had. And my older son, we adopted from Russia.
Oh wow.
I did not know that.
And he
You have two children.
Well,
kids.
here's like
Yeah.
another powerlifting
Yeah.
world champion. Game over.
Just adopted him from Russia. I see you,
know.
Jen. All right.
Yeah, we did.
Hey, Mr. Shako, send him over.
And so my dad grew up during the Cold War.
Oh, right.
And he's like,
of
Russia?
course.
Why Russia? Why are you getting a commie kid?
Yeah.
And so I'm like, Dad,
Yeah.
you're gonna have to accept this, or you're in, you're out. You're it out. And so, and he's a great grandpa,
That's
and he
cool.
comes down and sees.
That's very
football
cool.
games.
Yeah, that
and
is
he's so. I feel like if we have people that are willing to be examples and push people kind of in from these sort of narrow-mindedness, they can change.
Sure.
My dad's a good example.
Yeah,
of it,
that's a great example.
They
Yeah.
can change. You can evolve. You don't just have to say, that's a grumpy old man. Leave him who he is. So I think that's cool. So he'll be here later. He's in the front row, like jumping up and down.
That's amazing.
Crazy.
All it took was you benching 314 pounds, and he's like, all right, I can change all these opinions.
Yeah, it's something as serious as that as maybe race or a country. It's just something as simple as we were talking about the USAPL compared to USPA or whatever
Sure.
it is. Like, and it's also okay to admit you're wrong and change your opinion.
Yeah.
Which people aren't really down with
Yeah.
in any category.
People want to be in camps always. Like we talk about, like tribes or this and that.
And it's cool to
Yeah.
be communal and have a tribe
Yeah.
and have a team. Like this is the first time we met you.
Right.
I've obviously known about you for a long time, and we chatted here and there. But like we get along because we all are just like-minded, and that tribeness is cool. But it doesn't mean you have to ignore another team
Right.
or put up a wall in battle.
As you say, reach across the aisle.
I've had a lot of talks with my husband about that because he's always like, be careful who you associate yourself from. You don't want to be linked to different people in a bad way. And I'm like, you know what? It's okay. Like we are relaxing. It's not just you're this way or you're that way. You're drug free. You're not drug free. You can't cross that border. I mean, we can all enjoy our sport, I feel like, and make our own accomplishments however we want to.
Yeah.
And I think that's okay without having to worry about like you being stigmatized into like a certain point and then your career is over. I don't think it's so much like that anymore.
Or one thing you've said or one thing you've done.
Yeah.
People change.
Yeah.
We can kind of.
Yeah, we can relax a little bit. It'll be
little bit.
okay. Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
100%.
but I mean, I think he's right. You always have to like sort of look at what you're doing and what message you want to send and evaluate everything. And so he's always really good with. I'm always like, he always says I see the world through rose-colored glasses.
Right, like
and I
rose-tinted
really
glasses.
do.
Yeah,
like I'm like, hey, everything's great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so he's always pulling. And sometimes he's right.
Yeah, it's a good balance.
He's always pulling me back, saying, okay, let's just think about this. But I do think because we've been in the sport so long, and he's not real into social media.
Yeah.
He is some,
Yeah.
but not like I've sort of immersed myself in. And so I'm like these big borders are sort of grayed out some.
Yeah.
It's not so this and that.
Yeah,
absolutely. And you are, I mean, and I guess I could totally see his perspective where you're this big ambassador for the sport. And so what you do can influence a lot of different people, right? So it's all sometimes, especially with social media, it can be a little bit of like optics, like who you talk with, where you're at, or I know like just talking a little bit about the USAPL, was it them or was it the IPF in general that issued kind of a statement if you went to like an Ed Cohen seminar?
Well, that's the IPF.
That's everywhere. That's
like,
been a rule. That's a rule for all WADA.
Yeah.
Is if you go to a seminar, be coached by or lift with someone who has tested negatively on a test, then you're banned for a year.
Or something like that. Yeah.
Or compete in a whatever.
It's kind of a silly.
It's hard. It's hard because, but same thing we just talked about. Some people are just old school, or they've done it for a long time. So maybe these executives don't see the other way. Like they probably don't even know social media. You know,
they don't, and a lot of them, especially like I know, like the IPF, it's a bunch of old dudes.
There needs to be a change in the guard. Maybe is what you feel.
You know?
I don't know. Maybe I'd vote for Jen.
Oh,
they're new president.
Do you have so we'll just leapfrog all over the place. Do you see yourself
President
getting
of
involved?
America and the IPF.
Like just like 10 years from now in terms of the sport, what you want to be doing, like competing still, but also maybe moving up more to a leadership role?
I think so. Like for right now, like I'm the state chair of North Carolina. I've been done that for quite a while, and I'm an IPF ref.
Okay.
Kind of more to our conversation, like I feel like we need lifters in the chairs that are referees and get more fresh blood in there. And I always feel like I don't like refereeing, but I always it really is boring.
But you have to do it because you want to make sure.
Yeah, I want to make sure the lifters get a really good someone that's on their side.
Yes.
Like, I don't sit with my finger on the red button. I sit with it on the white, and I hope I don't have to go to the red. Right? And there's some guys that sit there with their finger on the red.
Sure.
Right? So I try to do that.
In their life.
Yes. So I try to kind of do that a little bit as a give back. But right now, like, there's a lot of different positions in USA Powerlifting and IPF. But until my kids probably are in college, I won't do it. I just. They need me.
That's so hard to balance all that. Like you're a world champion.
Well, and a teacher, like people think. My mom was a teacher, and so I'm obviously biased because this is Mama's Boys podcast, and we love our moms.
We love our moms.
But people are like, oh, well, you get the whole summers off. You get off at 3. I'm like, my mom works harder than a 9 to 5.
Yeah.
Especially at my school, it was a private school, so there was no administration or principals. It was all the teachers kind of made it.
Oh, so that's kind of neat.
It was really cool.
Your mom worked at Waldorf?
Yeah.
I didn't know that, bro.
She's a Spanish teacher.
I did not know that. Hola. I see you did not pay attention to the lessons.
She taught me, I went there for 12 years. She taught me 3 of the years. The worst thing ever. I had to call her Senora Farr. The worst.
I wonder because I teach at a charter school. It's kind of a smaller school, and my kids go there. So next year, Tucker could potentially be in one of my classes. I'm like,
how many kids are in the school? Is it smallish?
It's smallish. I think we have in our high school. I think we have like 500.
Okay,
but we have
100.
Oh, that's small. So we have an elementary and middle and high school, but they're on one campus. And then the elementary's at one side, and then we have a connecting.
That's very cool. Yeah, that's very similar to mine. And yes, part of the deal was mom taught me in like 5th grade or something, 6th grade, and then she's like, well, I'm going to go teach in high school now. I was like, that's fine. She's like, but I was like, part of the deal, like, you don't teach me in high school. Like, deal? She's like, yeah. And then something happened. I had another teacher for 2 or 3 years, and then she teaches me, like, I was like, this sucks. This is the
when
worst
we go to
thing
school
ever.
in the morning, like, as soon as I walk in the door, my kid is, like, gone. Like, he doesn't even know me. He's, like, walking so fast.
If I was your kid, I would want to be I'm like, do you know how strong my mom is? Like, I'd be like that kid, like, check out this video, you know? Like, I had, I've told the story before briefly, but, like, my mom did, like, track sprinting. She was a sprinter. Sprinted for the city really, really fast. And I remember she got me into it, and I was in grade 5, and that's like the fastest I
think
ever
you told
got.
Me this before.
Yeah, when I don't know if I told it on camera before. And so I had at the time my speed when I was like 12, I think it was like 12.6 or something like that. I ran the 100 meters, nothing great. But there's a kid that's faster than me whose name also incidentally was Omar.
No way.
And so my mom used to come and watch us run because she's just super supportive. And so I remember the older kid, Omar, came up to my mom and said, yo, like Mrs. Esoff, I heard you used to sprint. And she said, yeah. And she's like, just like doing her thing. She's like in her 40s at this point, high heels, almost ready to go to work. And she's like, yeah. And he's like, yeah, I heard you were pretty fast. And my mom said, yeah, I was decent. And he's like, yeah, I bet for a old lady or something. And my mom's like smoking a cigarette, and she has her sunglasses on, and she's just like, I could beat you right now. And the kid just laughs. And he's like, he's like, man, like with those high heels, like he's just like chirping her, like because it was cool. And he's like, no way, with those high heels, you gotta be kidding me. And my mom just like took another drag, and she's like, are we gonna race or not? And so like it was and you can ask my brother, this is a true story. It was like a room just full of kids like outside. There must have been like 50 kids. And so they lined up.
It sounds like a Grease movie or something.
This kid is faster than me. And so there was like a teacher there or whatever, so like 3, 2, 1, go. And hand to God, my mom beat the kid.
Yes.
Has not raced in 15 years, like 20 years. Dusted him. And so I was the kid, like, that was like the... Like,
Did he quit after that?
Oh, no, he got humbled real quick. After that point, like he's like, hey, Mr. Esau, like, how are you doing? But I would be so proud to be like your kid.
A lot of ideas, business ideas to my mind. Is we need to the three of us head to some random gyms and let me and Omar shark around.
Okay.
We'll find you some competition.
You're gonna hustle.
Oh yeah.
Hustle.
Like, hey, we have that little lady over there.
Yeah.
Well, bench off $20.
$20. Come on, we can do better.
We can do better than that. That's the first one.
And then you lose, and then you lose, and then we make sure another guy sees you lose, and then we take the next guy. And say, okay, hundo. Okay.
You ever watch the Paul Newman movie, The Hustler?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh my God, such a Paul Newman. Oh, it's so good. When you talk about
I just know it's salad dressing.
So good. Oh,
It's really good.
That's all I know.
It's really good salad dressing.
Jen, talk us through though. You did your competition. Do you remember your lifts in your first competition?
My very first, yes, I do. It was quite memorable. Let's see, I squatted 186.
Okay.
I fell backwards on it on my second. I fell backwards on my first. I misstepped on my second. And I think the third one, they were just really kind.
Yes.
Yeah.
It was in Detroit.
Yeah.
And then I think I benched 236.
That's amazing.
Yeah, that is amazing.
And then
There probably wasn't girls squatting that then.
No. Yeah. And then, do you know who Horace Lane is?
The name sounds
He's
familiar.
a big bench presser. He's actually going to here this weekend, but a while ago he was real big. He was there. He was benching 600, like deadlifting 600. Big guy, like 220, 250. But anyway, his coach was there, and he's like, what? CJ Batten. He's been around for years. And I learned how to deadlift like the night before. And I think I just saw a picture of it the other day because we were doing, I did the seminar with Dana Lynn Bailey.
Oh, yeah.
And we decided to put up pictures of ourselves like as we progress through our careers.
That's amazing.
And I found it, and I'm in like high top basketball shoes.
Yeah.
I love it.
And like my feet are just outside my hands.
Yeah.
And I think I did 315.
No.
Yeah.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
What's your best pull now? Low fours?
446.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
That's hilarious.
I
remember the first time I pulled 315. It took me like 2 years. I'm ripping calluses. It's probably so ugly. The only guy deadlifting in a commercial gym.
I've been lifting before that. Like I didn't deadlift
even
strong.
still,
Like,
even still, that doesn't matter.
I've been lifting too. I was probably 22. I did lifting for 10 years by then.
Did you have any early inkling growing up of any maybe of your later talents? Like any like
You grab a water bottle and it just explodes.
Not a clue. I mean, like if you would have asked me then, like where I'd be today, this would not even been anywhere near on the radar.
Yeah, sure.
But we did have, like, people always ask me, like, how did you get so strong? I honestly think it was from a gym class we had in high school. It was called Marine Fitness.
Okay.
So you had to take like regular PE as a ninth grader, and then they had this Marine Fitness class. I took it every semester my entire high school career, and it was based on the Marine Fitness test. We had to do, I think, 100 sit-ups in 2 minutes. We had to do like 60 push-ups. We had to do 30 pull-ups, like a standing long jump. Then we did these rope climbs and stadium runs. I honestly think that's where I got a lot of my base strength was like we could rope climb with no feet, So I got upper body strength. I think it was probably like an early form of CrossFit maybe.
No, 100%.
Or something like that. And so I think that really kind of led into me being strong later on.
Yeah, because we do something like that, or at least when I was in high school, like presidential test. Or something. It sounds like the exact
we would
same
go
thing.
compete against other schools in marine fitness.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, and I couldn't even do chin-ups in high school.
Oh, no.
I was
Look at you now.
kid.
Look at you now,
I'm a
champ.
chin-up king. If there was a chin-up competition, I'd do all right. Powerlifting, I don't know.
Powerlifting, you just kind of fell into.
Yeah.
First meet, so you smoked it, like you hit, and you won first in your class?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Your brother, how many
I broke
ladies
all
were
the
there?
records.
Yeah.
I don't think there was back then. Like, it's so funny how we talk about how powerlifting has changed. Like, you would have like 5, maybe
I feel like that's a
girls
lot.
show up. Like now at our North Carolina meets, it's 50-50.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah,
to me, like it's been crazy change. I mean, even at like nationals, like you'd get a few people, but not like we have now.
Even for me, I've been powerlifting myself maybe 10 years, but in the sport more like spotting, loading, judging, whatever, maybe only 8 years. The first year it was like Kim Valentine was there squatting 187. She just posted a video of her going through time, which I thought was cool. She's world record at 97 or something, squatted 402 in reps. And she's same thing like you just talked about, going back to her past 8 years ago. She squatted 180 and her knees like touch halfway up, like just so ugly. And then then squatted 402 world record. But she was like one of 2 girls.
Yeah.
And it was like a pro-am too. We ran a women's pro-am, so then that day maybe there was 10 or 20.
Yeah.
But that's because there's money on the line. It was the only women's meet, women's only meet in the world. I think maybe even still.
What do you think has been the big change, Jen? Because there's been an explosion overall of raw powerlifting, but as you said, the ratio before was heavily skewed towards guys, and now it's. If you look at meets, what is it? It's approaching 50-50.
It's getting close. Like local meets, depending on where you are. Like, I mean, we have almost half. I think our membership for USA Powerlifting is around over a third. Which is way more what it was. I mean, and I can remember when I was first taking over the state chair, I think in 04-03, I think as an organization, we had like 5,000 members.
Yeah.
And I think last year we up near 20.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's a huge change.
Here's a stat somebody threw out. I forgot who. Maybe it was Chad.
Go, champ.
Chad threw out, I think it was Chad. Don't quote me. Sorry, Chad. But
Chad Wesley Smith?
Just on like Instagram story. I think he said there's 35,000
members.
Curling members in the USA.
In the US.
And he's like crushes weightlifting and powerlifting combined. I was
together.
You'd be well, in Canada it's actually big
huge,
curling.
right?
And I
that's insane though.
I don't understand curling.
You
but, no, just like the interest. I get it as a pastime. Kind of
like. Do you have to revoke your Canadian citizenship for not knowing curling?
There's 3 things that are like not Canadian about me. Where hockey is one of them. Not big into hockey. We spoke about the Detroit Red Wings, who are like
hockey fans,
kind of like rivals of like the Maple Leafs. But hockey, curling, and then Tim Hortons. I'm not a big fan of a poutine, but everything like our culture, like our values, all those things I'm down with, but some of those big things. It's great. Yeah. People think powerlifting is big, is huge.
It's nothing.
It's
so nothing.
Small. Yeah, you're right.
It's a passionate group of people, and especially online, how supportive the community
and
is.
Everybody knows everybody now, which is cool. So it is like growing as a community also, but
it's a small world. I always say everyone's like, my friends will be like, oh, you're so like famous. I'm like, you know what? You're talking about this little tiny bubble. You know, it's
what a niche it is.
It is.
But within the niche, like you're revered.
I think it's getting better too. Even again over the 8 years I've been in it, used to be like cattier. It used to be more jerks. Like everybody gets along so much better now. I mean, of course, there's rottenness everywhere.
Definitely, I've seen a change. Like I remember, like when I first started, one of the reasons I became a referee because I always thought I was getting raw calls because I was like the new girl coming up, and there's people had been established there.
Sure.
And then when I made my first world team, it was the first time we'd like traveled out of the country ever. Like, you know, we'd never left Detroit. We kind of grew up in a very modest family. And so I was real nervous. Donovan and I went and I thought, well, we'll be with Team USA. You know, I felt a little more comfortable at it. And they completely ostracized us the whole time. They went out to dinner and wouldn't invite us out, you know, because we were the new kids.
Yeah.
And like, even like, I was the only one that medaled that year. I took 3rd place.
That's amazing.
And so we were at the banquet and they were doing team pictures and they asked me to step out.
What? Wow. Asked you to step out?
Of the girls' picture.
Man, how catty can you get?
It was awful. And so for a couple years, like, you know, I was like, well, fuck these guys.
I wouldn't even want to lift.
I'm just go kick your ass. I'm not going to talk to you.
Yeah.
That's wild.
And then it sort of changed.
Yeah.
Like those girls, those catty girls kind of aged out or fell off. New girls came in.
Yeah.
And then
they probably felt threatened, quite frankly, by you, which is, it always happens like across sports.
Does that help you at all now, kind of being literally the face of the USAPL, at least here in America, if not the IPF? Does that help you kind of when people run up or when people are new or when they're interested, like how you react to them?
Oh yeah, I'm always trying to be very welcoming and very nice and try to take the time to talk to them if I can, because kind of my whole goal on this whole thing really is I want to grow my sport. I want to make my stamp on the sport, right?
Well, that's
already been established.
Not for me yet. I've got a lot of things I want to cover.
Cool. I love it. I love it. Yeah.
But I really want to I want to see this women's thing just go crazy, and so I want to do my part. So we're doing like these training camps. I'm going to these seminars. I always answer whoever messages me on social media. They always say, "Oh, you're probably not going to read this or answer this, but do you, yada yada." And I always answer because I just feel like I enjoy it. Yeah. It's a sport I love. It's part of who I am, and I want to see it go good places, and I want to be a part of it.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Let me ask you this: when you said about the sport growing or making an impact, you still have goals left. You said 3 world championships you've won in the IPF. What are some of those goals?
Well, to keep winning those.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I'd like to get my squat up to like what I would consider a decent squat, and it's getting there.
You said you were dealing with a hip injury.
I did.
What was that during training or?
No, it was just something that happened over time. Like when I was a sumo deadlifter, I put my toes way on the plates, super, super wide. And I just think over the years, the hitching, the torque, it drove like a groove in my femur and made like a calcification. Yeah. And so then it got to where that calcification was hitting in my hip joint every single time. And so it tore the labrum to crap. And so it was painful, and I was just trying to work through the pain. I'd take time off. I tried PT. I tried, everything under the sun, not except for surgery. And then it's funny, your body gets to a point where it won't let you hurt it anymore. Yeah. And so it got to the point where I was training for Iceland this time last year, and I couldn't even squat 95 pounds.
Yeah, just weak.
I would start sitting back and it would just stop. No. Like it would not allow me to go any deeper.
How did you deal with that from the mental aspect?
It was hard because I had to pull out of the Arnold. Yeah. And then of course, I can deal with people saying negative things about me, but it's hurtful when it's people that you know.
Oh, really?
And you think that you thought they were friends or supportive of you. Yeah. So I heard a lot of that, which was hard. It just made me angry, really. It kind of helped motivate me to get back. Oh, yeah. But that was kind of, if I don't know them, it's fine. But when it was people that were your teammates or coaches within your organization or
that's right. Like a peer.
People you see every meet and give you a hug, and then you find out later that they're saying different things behind your back. When they didn't even really know what's going on.
I'm very similar too, because we have a little social media following, and of course people chirping whatever. But when it's like a peer or someone that we think of, as a equal, not
contemporary of ours.
Then you're like, that's not cool, dude. I would only say good things about you whether I like you or not.
And if I didn't like you, I just won't say anything.
Exactly. Yeah, that's just called being a professional.
Yeah, I've talked about a lot, talking about powerlifting injuries because baseball, golf, all these people get injured all the time from repetition injuries. Yeah. Well, now do some repetition injuries under load. Yeah. These injuries can, we don't blow our spines out. No, that doesn't really happen. But the repetition on a disc or on your hip, is massive.
It took me a long time, too, to figure out what was wrong. They thought it was something with my back forever, and I went to 8 million doctors before I finally figured out.
Because they don't live, I don't mean that in a cruel way, but they don't live, they have probably no idea.
They don't understand. Yeah. And what's funny, how I figured out what it was I want to say it was in 2005, I had to have neck surgery. I was big into wakeboarding. Yeah. And, but I was big enough to get hurt a lot.
Taking jumps?
Taking jumps and doing 180s and barrel rolls.
We got to do video. Yeah.
We need the video of that.
I broke my ankle one time. I blew up my ACL one time. And then I ended up having to have neck surgery from all the falls. But the guy that fixed my neck, his name was Dr. Petty. He was the NASCAR neck guy. Oh, wow. He won an ESPY.
Oh, that's it.
And, but he was in his 70s. Yeah. So he was the one that actually figured out what was wrong and then had somebody else. Cool. So I had gone to 6 or 7 doctors with trying to figure out what this was. And I'm I wonder if Dr. Petty's still around, because that was, 2005? So that was 13 years ago?
Yeah.
still there
hunted
working.
him down?
Really?
That's sick.
That's
Yeah.
incredible.
Yeah,
I'm
that's
like-
good connection.
I'm like, Dr. Petty, do you remember who I am? And he's like, yes.
Yeah.
And so he came in and he's like, it's your hip. I know it's this, I think it's this. And he got it
That's
fixed
awesome.
right.
Wakeboarding. You got a boat now?
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
What?
You ever try wakeboarding?
No.
So my best friend was Mr. Adventurous. He's still my best friend to this day, but we knew each other from kindergarten.
I thought I was your...
You're my best friend too. You got more than one, all right? It's 2018. I've known him since I was like 5.
Dog.
His family was like always more adventurous, and that my dad's from Cleveland, more kind of city folk life. Like we
Yeah.
went to dinner and stuff, but he was like camping, the whatever. His dad always had a boat, and they always wakeboarded,
Yeah.
snowboarded, and all that. I didn't do any of that. I tried wakeboarding once, ate shit, and I'm like, I'm done. Like
You
I'm
can get
done.
hurt pretty bad
It
doing
just
it.
felt so
Like, you could-
awkward. Yeah, I was like, I'm done. Yeah, I got like
Face plant
quarter way
hard.
up, and then like the thing shot out, and then I'm getting dragged by the boat. I don't know if to let go or not. I was like, I'm done.
Yeah, I remember it's like the first time I tried skateboarding.
Yeah.
I bought it from my next door neighbor. I was like 8 years old. I tried to just go down this like hill, fell, slammed my face and my 2 front teeth, which were baby,
my
and they just like fell right out. And I was like, well, this is probably.
Next hobby.
I bet your mother was just like, oh my God.
How'd you get into wakeboarding and boats?
Well, we grew up, outside of Detroit, and we grew up with not a lot of money.
Yeah.
And so my husband finished residency here, and I had finished my degree here. So we wanted to go warmer because Detroit weather just
bet.
sucks.
I bet.
Bad.
Yeah.
It's horrible.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this was before we married, and I looked at Donovan, I'm like, listen, I'm going to move. You can come with me, but I'm out of here. So he wanted to go to Florida, which it's too hot and alligators.
Swampy.
Yeah.
Swampy and alligators. But
Alligator.
But now you have an alligator in your house, which we'll get to in a
Right.
second.
Yeah.
So we ended up going halfway, and we ended up moving to this little town in North Carolina called Denver, and it lives on this lake called Lake Norman. It's like a dammed up river, but it's 8 miles by 21 miles.
so really big.
It's
Yeah.
really big.
Yeah.
And back then, we bought like it's a 3,000 square foot house on the lake for like $290
Wow.
with like an acre lot.
Yeah.
Oh, an acre?
Yeah.
That's
That's
not
the real
California.
deal.
We're not in
No.
California anymore, Mike.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it was very like it was a very rural
Yeah,
place. We moved there, and I went to go grocery shopping for some beer, and I couldn't find it, and it's because it was a dry county.
Oh.
We're out of here.
I'm like,
Yeah. We're back to Detroit.
I go Donovan. I'm like, you can't even get beer at their grocery. He's like, we're gonna have to get a refrigerator, like a second one.
That's
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah, so it was
Is
really
still dry?
no, yeah, no.
Yeah.
I think it was 4 years ago. There was a giant snowstorm.
Yeah, I
And so
remember.
we were driving here, and we got stuck
Yeah.
for like 4 hours
Yeah.
on the highway
Be the worst.
in the snow. And that when
Yeah.
we finally made it, I lifted like the worst I've ever lifted at the Arnold.
Just sitting in a car.
Yeah, sitting in the car. The kids were with us, and like I said, it was like a semi caught fire, and so it shut down traffic. And it was
Dang.
right where like Bluefield, like where you go through those mountains that have the tunnels in them.
Well, West
anyway,
Coaster,
yeah.
all right. So there's like these big mountains, and you go through them. There's like a tunnel through them.
Yeah.
So we got to the other side, and it was like just stopped, and then it started snowing huge flakes,
Dang.
and like it snowed. I don't know, probably like 4 inches within like the few hours that we
Yeah.
were sitting there. So of course, like eventually you have to pee. So we're sitting there in the truck, and there's like semi-truck drivers, and I got it, and there's no trees, like it's open
yeah.
fields.
Yeah.
So like
Freezing.
and it's plowing snow, like huge flakes. So I opened my door, and I made Tucker open his door, so like I was between them, so I could pee. And
Yeah.
the kids were like, "Mom's peeing on the highway,"
Wow, yeah.
and you could look up and see the semi driver like looking down on you, and I'm like, "What? I can't hold it anymore."
No other options. No
Yeah.
other options.
The
Desperate
snow
times.
was just like going in the car,
Yeah.
and my kids are like, "It's cold." I'm like, "Just wait."
All for the Arnold.
I remember
Oh,
that year though,
Arnold.
because a bunch of people tried to come on Friday, and they're all only here till Saturday. or
Oh
evening.
yeah,
they
it
had to
was
stop.
horrible. I mean, it was just we finally got here, but like I think it took us like 13 or 14 hours. Like it was like
Yeah,
horrible.
I'd be so angry. I'd be yelling at people.
By the time like they cleared that tractor trailer thing out of the way, all the semis that had been sitting there were now stuck because it
Oh.
had snowed for so
Dang.
long,
Yeah.
and it was on a hill.
Yeah.
So then when you're trying to weave in and out of all these trucks, It was horrible.
Yeah, pain in the ass. I've been following you on Instagram for a long time, but more recently on your Instagram story, there's been a dragon flying around your house.
Flying dragon.
Is this me interpreting this, or did you start to train that little crazy thing? I'm frightened of all little slithery things.
Really?
Yeah.
Very. Snakes particularly are my biggest fear. Lizards are probably close to it.
He's my son's, actually. My older son, Tucker, he's 14. My younger son is allergic to dogs.
Oh, okay.
And my older son's wanted a dog. I think we told him when he turned 12 he could have a dog. Well, then, since then, my younger son's got all these allergies and he can't have a dog. Well, he did some research.
Yeah.
In iguanas, you can train like a dog.
No.
That's
You can
insane.
They can learn their name. You could potty train them. They can do tricks.
Yeah, that's what it was. I saw the leap and then the potty train. I was like, this has to be a joke.
No.
They must have just shuffled this thing under him.
Yeah.
No, and he did it. He's trained him so far. You can put him on a leash and walk him.
No.
Yeah.
That's insane.
That's amazing.
That's honestly really cool, and
I've
I would
never
rather
heard
get. How big is the iguana?
Well, right now he's like, his body's probably, I don't know, probably like 12 inches long, but like with his tail, he's probably 2.5 feet, but he can get to 6 feet long.
What you see in pictures?
Yes.
They're huge, dude.
That's insane.
Yeah.
That's so. I don't know if they're illegal in Toronto to get as a pet. Yeah, because it depends.
Yeah,
Because the pet that I actually would want to get if it was possible and I had the space and blah blah blah, I think would be maybe a pygmy goat.
Okay.
Because I saw a special on a little pygmy goat called
They're
Benji,
cute.
and I'm like, man.
Speaking of the Baileys, they
Yeah.
don't goats.
Yeah.
A bunch of jokes, yeah, Montana.
Yeah, come on. They have so much attitude, and when they like jump up and like do the heel kick, I love it. And there's a video online that made me decide it's like I want this pygmy goat. Is when there was a video and it said like dog versus pygmy goat, and the dog goes up and it's all like mean mugging and whatever, and the little pygmy goat is just like looking where I am, not even like scared, nothing, just like puts both of his hooves just like on the ground, goes like, boom on the ground, and the dog, which is like 5 times its size, just flees. I'm like
They're kind of scary. I was hanging out with the Baileys at their house before they moved, and they let the goats out and like walked them kind of like dogs also.
Yeah.
And one of them was a little charged up that day. Even Rob was like, I don't know what's in them, and he's like kind of looking at you. I'm like, this is gonna hit my knee and blow it out.
Yeah.
Like because it's their skull.
Yeah.
Like, they're just gonna bash you with the skull.
Yeah, the iguana, he's cute right now because he's small.
Yeah.
I'm not really looking forward to how big, and he's going to get ugly. They're ugly when they're bigger. And
they have like a turkey deal.
It's called like a dewlap or something.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
They like it petted.
Oh, really? That's,
So I'm
Nigel,
not sure.
Nigel, look it up. Did Miss Frizzle have a pet? I swear.
She had an iguana.
I swear
No,
she had a
didn't.
pet lizard.
She had an iguana.
You're-
She had an iguana.
That's what I didn't want to.
did.
Yeah, Lizzie.
Yeah.
That's what I was
She
gonna say.
had
I didn't want
iguana.
to. I didn't want to speak out of my turn. This is the similarities. First, Miss Frizzle benches 4 reds.
Yeah.
Both teachers.
Both teachers.
Both an iguana.
Smart as hell, both iguanas. I thought also too. I'm about to embarrass myself because I forget the actual number of pi, but it's 3.14. Is it 5.2 or 2?
6 something.
Oh, I don't even know. And Pi Day is coming up. March 14th is a big deal. Pi Day.
I just wanted to say like like a shitty joke that you basically bench pie.
That's
what that was. But it was like way too. I'm like, I don't know what the fourth
What's
number is.
son's Tucker, the older one?
Yeah.
What's Tucker's next trick for the lizard? Do you think?
Well, we're trying to get him to recognize his name.
Okay.
Right. So we're trying to get him to call his name, and he got him a little harness to start walking him around.
So yeah, I saw him leap and
he's fast. I didn't realize how fast they were and how far they could jump.
and they swim. Yeah,
they swim.
That's what scares me because once they get in the water, they start to look like an alligator had a baby with a snake, and it's like whoosh, whoosh, whoosh.
Yeah, that's not a bad.
It's so
combination.
frightening.
I ain't scared of none of it. I like all of it. Like
I just like dogs.
I even thought of getting like a pet rat. No joke.
I like dogs.
Yeah. Well, we had had the lizard for like a month or two, and we were going to my son's baseball game, and Tucker wanted to take him, have him sit on the shoulder or whatever. And I'm like, this is not a good idea. Like, what if he gets out? Like, what if we can't catch him? No, I've got him trained, Mom. I want to take him. It'll be fine. And I'm like, I really don't think it's a good idea. And he's like, I want to take him. I really do. And I'm like, okay. So we go watch his brother's baseball game. He's got the lizard, right? And he's like, Mom, will you just hold him for a little while? I want to go on the playground. I'm like, okay. So I hold him.
You're a real trooper for not even liking him and still doing that.
That's a real mom right there.
So he's moving around. I'm like, he's getting antsy. And I go, Tucker, get over here. He's getting antsy. Well, right at that moment, he jumps down, takes off onto
no.
the baseball field.
Oh no.
So there's a little like baseball game going on. There's Tucker and I running in the outfield trying to grab him, and he's all over the place, and he's so stinking fast. And I'm trying to grab him, and he keeps catching me. And then there's a dog after him, and so the dog's trying to get him. And then finally, like it seemed like hours, but it was like probably 2 seconds. And Tucker finally got him, but they had to stop the baseball game. There we are on the field, trying to catch this lizard.
That's
and I
so
thought
funny.
for sure it was gone.
Yeah.
I'm like, this is it.
It's green.
And well, we already, when he got he left him in the bathroom. His friends were at the door. So we went and answered the door and forgot about the lizard in the bathroom.
Yeah.
Well, we couldn't find him. So I'm looking underneath the bathroom counter, and we had done some remodeling, and the air vent underneath the counter, they never put a grate on it. So it was an open hole.
So it went inside?
So that's the only way we could think of where it was, because we looked everywhere for this thing and it wasn't anywhere, right? And so it had to have gone through
This is Mike's
hole
like horror.
and
I
like
have a
down
horror
into
story.
the duct, right? And so then I'm like how are we going to get it out? Like if it, first of all, it's like summer, so the air conditioning's going and they need to be warm. And I'm like, what if it dies in there? And then we got to turn the heat on later and it stinks up the whole house. I'm like, we've got to get it out. So I'm calling like different plumbing companies to see if they can like root them out. It cost us $375 to have them snake out with a camera and chase them out the vent.
So he wasn't there.
He wasn't there.
So yeah, this is my horror story. So
Go.
Friend's house, divorced dad in high school, so we all went to that house. It was like the bachelor house. We all went out and hung
This
out
is the
there.
snake story you told me.
I think I might have told you. I don't think I told it on here, did I?
No.
So 3 brothers, we're all good. The middle brother was my best friend, and the other ones were close in age, so we're all really good friends. The eldest brother gets a snake. To play cool, I gotta let them mess with me, because if I say I'm afraid of snakes, we all spent the night there every single weekend.
Oh my gosh.
They're gonna mess with me, right? So, and I am terrified. I hate them. So like they would be like, yeah. I'm like, yeah, dude, that's cool. I'm like, like fake pet. Like, cool, dude.
You gotta flaunt that you ain't scared. You can't show any sign of weakness. Prison rules.
Just because
That's
I
right.
know they would F with me so bad. So then literally every weekend, probably for all 4 years of high school, we spent the night there. Junior year, I think, of high school, snake goes missing.
Oh no.
And there's not enough beds, right? We just grab a pillow and sleep on the ground.
Oh no.
So I'm like, all right, same thing. I've been acting like I'm a cool guy. I don't mind snakes. Now I hear this thing's lost in the freaking house.
Oh my God.
Never found it.
No.
I think it was a boa. And so we knew it as a baby. I'm like, this thing is probably
Like gigantic.
probably 100 feet. Just
Yeah.
living under
They
the
just like-
freaking
Yes.
house.
Yeah.
Nothing ever came of
Eating
it.
stray like people that wander by.
It's
Yeah.
even the neighbor's
Missing little dogs and babies in the area.
I'm just gonna stick to dogs the rest of my life.
Jen, for you, are you afraid of anything? Where Mike says about obviously like snakes and all those things.
Nothing really bothers me too bad.
Yeah.
What you got?
No,
There's gonna be something.
I would say maybe a little bit like heights when it gets dicey, like where I just don't trust my own balance. Like there's like this bridge in Toronto that you could go to that used to be like train tracks, and say they don't have really any guard railings. And so some people go there, and the spaces between each track is like maybe 6 inches, so your foot could slip all the way through. But it's like a thing to go out there, and it's like 200 feet up or whatever. And I'm like, I don't trust myself. I'm just gonna slip, and that's it.
I think there's a difference between being afraid of heights and then just being afraid of death.
Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
pain.
Or
Because like
unsafe area.
I call myself risk adverse. Like
Yeah.
where if it's not necessary, I'm like, why am I going to do that?
Right.
You know?
That's right.
I feel that.
Let me ask you this: when you said, because you are the real life Miss Frizzle in the flesh, what do your students think of you? With
do they
because
know?
this is insane. Like I would think this is super cool.
Yeah. Like some of them, I don't know. I think it's like not too much. I mean, they sort of know I do it, but they don't really know. Like it's kind of like, like if you see your teacher in the grocery store and you're like, oh my God, there's my teacher in the grocery store.
Yeah.
I think it's kind of like that. They just know me as this, and they don't really, I guess, I mean, they know I do other stuff. I mean, they announce it in school.
Yeah.
I have a powerlifting club in school.
that's cool.
like,
Very
with the
cool.
Kids. And so those kids are really into it because they like powerlifting. But like my general kids, like they'll mess with me every once in a while. Like they want to arm wrestle me all the time.
I had an orchestra teacher that did that fitness stuff you were talking about. And we always try to arm wrestle her because she was super jacked.
Yeah.
So, I mean, just little things like that. But for the most part, it doesn't come up all that often.
What about your own kids?
My own kids.
They train.
But you're a world champion. It's not like mom likes to compete at the local powerlifting meets,
or mom's into Beethoven. Like you're into something cool.
Yeah.
And you're really good at it too. Yeah,
I think they're just used to it.
Yeah.
Like, my husband's always trying to tell them, like, my status and like
Yeah.
what I've accomplished, because he wants that to be inspiring to them.
Yeah, I think that's
But I
fair.
think they're usually kind of like,
Yeah.
that's great, Mom.
Yeah. That's what you hear about. I mean, who knows? But like
Yeah.
interviews and people that are like in movies or something.
Yeah,
My kids don't even
superstars.
like my movies.
Yeah.
Like, they don't even watch it.
Yeah,
That's
because you're
just
so
dad on-
normalized
Yeah,
to like
it's
seeing
dad on the
dad or
TV.
mom or whatever. Yeah.
Tucker, he's 14, and he lifted at Raw Nationals in October. He was 13, but almost 14. So he lifted there. He's lifted in like 3 meets, and he made the sub-junior world bench team.
Oh, cool.
Wow.
So
They're-
he's
Yeah, it's in the blood.
Shocked.
He's Russian genetics.
Yeah.
So we're all going to Finland in May for the IPF
Fun.
raw bench.
Yeah.
And Donovan's lifting in the Masters on Tuesday.
That's
Tucker
really
lifts in
cool.
the sub juniors on Thursday. And lifting on
What?
Friday.
That's cool. So you're going to do you do IPF Worlds in both?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we have Finland in May and then Calgary in June.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, Canada, yeah.
We might try to make that because it's close.
Yeah, Calgary
Yeah.
and Junior.
I'm excited about it. We're going to go to Banff after and do some hiking and
What is
stuff.
that?
Oh,
The
Banff.
Banff National Park.
It's a resort basically in Alberta that's supposed to be
Are
amazing.
you taking me?
well, if you play your cards right,
Let's
Mike.
go.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, you better reserve your rooms now, because I was looking at them and almost
they're gone.
everything's booked. Like we had to find
Dang.
something a little bit off, but they're known for like they have these beautiful lakes. They're like turquoise, and it's all mountains and hiking,
awesome.
and it's
Yeah.
like any sort of picturesque picture you see,
Yeah.
like of purple mountains and blue lakes. It's usually from there.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
cool.
Like,
That's
it's
beautiful.
really
It's
pretty.
Canada, bro.
Down.
There you go.
I just
Yeah.
went back the other weekend.
You've been to Canada before?
Yeah, we go up. I go up every year to Dundas.
Okay.
Because we do a powerlifting camp up there with the Canadian gals, Frances Manius and her troop of ladies up there.
Cool.
So we, Kim Walford and Bonica Brown and myself,
yeah.
we all go up for like a
That's a strong
fun
crew.
girls.
Yeah,
weekend.
That's a strong crew.
Yeah, and so I like Canada.
Yeah. Oh, it's
The people are very nice.
I agree.
except for me. I mean, I would say absolutely in general, the people are very nice. I think it's incredible the amount of positivity that you do when it comes to powerlifting and trying to raise awareness, or as you said, volunteer. Quite frankly, a lot of your own time.
Yeah.
There's
towards
no
growing
money in
this-
powerlifting. But
There really
yeah,
isn't.
yeah.
You're like, everyone always asks me, like, do you need to work? Do you have a job?
Yeah.
I'm like, yes.
Yeah, I need
Yeah.
more.
I probably make enough to like pay for my hobby, I feel
Yeah.
like, or
Yeah.
pay for, and I hate to call it a hobby because it's more of like part of your life.
Yeah,
Oh yeah.
But it's enough that it covers what I do.
Yeah.
But
Luckily,
there's no like, no one's getting rich off this
Yeah.
stuff. It's pretty tough anyway.
Luckily, raw powerlifting is generally inexpensive, but at your level, it is expensive because you have travel and you have
Yeah.
a bunch of meets to compete in.
Yeah.
If you do geared lifting or even just compete often, it
Yeah.
can add up because
Oh,
meets
yeah.
can cost $100 plus.
Well, travel. Yeah, and the USA Powerlifting, they to be on the world team, we have to pay our own entry
Yeah.
fee. It's $375. Like
Yeah.
it just makes me so mad.
Plus international travel.
But
Yeah.
and they with the amount of members that are a part of USAPL,
It's a
wouldn't they be
big-
able to? I'm not
That's-
getting into the
yeah,
politics,
that's-
but
that's
wouldn't
the
they?
executive things we were talking about, yeah.
It really irritates me that
Yeah.
I'm going to represent my country and
Yeah.
that you're making, and some people don't do it by fact that they can't afford it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't think that's right.
Yeah.
Like if you make the team and you want to be on it, like just because you don't have enough money shouldn't be a reason why
Right.
you can't go do that. And so I have a problem with that.
Especially with powerlifting and its roots not being a hoity-toity
Yeah,
sport.
So it's a sport for everyone.
Kind
Yeah,
of
Midwest, the
sport.
South.
And
Yeah, I
so
agree.
I just find that not nice. And so, it's
Yeah.
That's the most rude that Jake can be. I just find that not.
Maybe
We're not
nice.
getting
maybe
in
the
too
three
much
of us-
trouble here.
Yeah, maybe the three of us grab coffee sometime and we'll find a way to fix that. 'Cause I think Omar and I can
we
help that.
should be
Yeah.
able.
Yeah.
I feel like
Yeah, I think so.
I feel like it's something that they could afford to do if they want to.
I think definitely that I agree that it's wrong and that it's probably not our place that we should have to fix it. But I do have some ideas in my head.
Oh,
I'll fix
Okay.
it.
Look at this.
Good.
Young, silent Michael.
Well, we've been lucky with SBD.
Yeah.
They've
Yeah.
been a huge supporter
Yeah.
of the teams.
Yeah.
I mean, they outfit a lot of the teams. This year, they're paying for our travel.
That's very cool.
Yeah.
There, which is big, and then they, reward you with how well you lift with prize money.
Yeah.
Significant prize money.
That's good.
Yeah.
And even last year, they had a team. I don't know, it was some remote African country. I can't even remember which country it was.
They helped them out?
They flew them in, and when they went to the platform, they still had the SBD stickers on all the stuff
That's
that they were
cool.
wearing.
That's
Love
cool.
And
it.
they had their, colorful turbans in their hair or whatever.
Yeah.
And I just thought that was really neat.
That is cool.
That they did that.
And it is awesome that SBD does that, but they shouldn't have to either, right?
Yeah.
Because we're talking about a U.S. organization It's like a real organization.
Yeah.
And it's not Olympics. We understand that it's not the scale of millions like a Michael Phelps or something, but there should be some things in place.
When I first started years ago, we didn't pay for our entry fee.
Really?
And we got team sweats, a couple of T-shirts.
Yeah.
And then it went to no sweats. You buy them. And then it went to $150 was your entry fee, and now it's $375.
Yeah.
Wow.
And now there's more money in the sport.
And now there's more money in
Yeah,
the sport. We're paying
what's
more
going
money.
on? It reminds me like Van Halen, this band. They sold them.
band. Look, I'm
sold,
not into rock, but I know
you know,
Van Halen, all right, bro? You don't have to dumb it down for me.
But they had this line, this story they were sharing where they released their first album and they sold 1 million records and they toured for an entire year. And when they came back, their company told them that they actually owed $2 million to the record label. And they're like, wait a minute,
Because
we
of the
sold
cost of the tour?
Yeah.
Something,
like just something made up to keep them like indentured laborers, basically. It's like, so wait a second, we sold 1 million records and toured for a year. It's like, and we owe $2 million. It's like, if we sell 2 million records and tour for 2 years, do we owe then $4 million?
Right.
It's like, as it gets bigger, you should be earning more than, or like just some of those things.
I get it. I mean, they're definitely a lot of the prices hooked into out of meat testing and their drug testing, which they totally have stepped up and really have made a big impact. It's changed incredibly within the last year.
Okay.
So at least I feel like the money's going to maybe what they said they were going to do. I still don't think we should.
We can dig into that a little bit. Is there whereabouts stuff now?
Oh yeah.
For the top.
For anybody that lifts, like anyone that lifts at the Arnold has to have whereabouts.
So you just have to update it if you're traveling and
anywhere you go. So you have to put in an hour window of where you'll be every single day that they can show up, and then you have to put travel and where you're staying.
That's awesome.
Yeah. They have what they call the Atoms with the IPF, which I was on for like 5 years, which was even more in depth of where you were at.
Yeah.
And then they just, I don't know if it's because we've been doing a good job with drug testing or what, but they took a bunch of us off. And now we just have the whereabouts to do. But I think like you can get, I can't remember, it was 2 or 3 whereabouts failures and then you're suspended.
Yeah.
So you have to make sure
Does WADA actually do it, or are they just based on WADA rules?
It's based on WADA rules.
Yeah, that's what
USA
a lot of people,
Powerlifting does it.
because I've had a lot of these discussions over the years with, I can't forget the gentleman's name. I'm sorry, my man, you were an awesome interview. But he's now the lead UFC personnel, some position, but he's basically the guy that caught Lance Armstrong.
Okay.
And so we had a lot of conversations of that. I've talked to a lot of people kind of in the CrossFit drug testing world.
Yeah.
And that's, WADA's one thing. Following WADA is another thing. But then if you've seen the movie Icarus, which I loved,
Gregory.
And then what I don't like, and this is going to sound non-patriotic of me.
I think I know what you're going to say, bro. They made it just seem like it's only a Russian problem, whereas it's also
no. But Americans take it that way.
Yes.
Yeah, Americans are like, oh yeah, Russia. I'm like, some things maybe not to that extreme, but some things are happening here too, and I know them.
Yeah.
Well, all I was going to say is some national pride being Canadian is Ben Johnson got thrown under the bus when he broke the Canadian guy.
Oh,
broke the
I
record
remember
for sprinting.
this.
Johnson, all right?
And then Carl Lewis came out and he's like, I can't believe this. This is like so disrespectful to sport. And then he gets popped 6 years later. I'm like, come on, man.
Yeah, that's kind of the Lance Armstrong thing. The best documentary I found on that was, I think it was Armstrong Lies, because he actually talks his way through it. It's after he'd already been caught.
I saw one. I don't know if it's that one.
You should watch
I
that
saw
one if you're into it, because he like basically says why
he
and how
actually
cheated.
talks in it.
Yeah, because it was later. There's so many of them.
We watched one the other night, and because it's just interesting,
I
right?
agree.
And my husband loves watching the Tour de France. Like he tapes it and watches it. I don't know, he's just crazy about sports,
Yeah.
And so he does that for years. And so it's so sad because he was such an icon and doing such what you thought was the impossible, and then you find out it really was.
Well, and it sucks because he did do so much good, right?
Yes.
With
And
all
it's
his
all
organization.
Charity.
And it's just you just blanket statement. The guy.
That's why you could be
sucks.
like so careful too, like just different supplement companies. Like they were sending out things to all the athletes, not to take anything from the expo. Do not take, because I am so incredibly careful with what I eat and what I take, because you just don't, we are so unregulated as a country. It's so amazing that it takes like 10 years to get the best medicine in here before it goes to the FDA, but you can put whatever you want in your supplement on the shelves.
Absolutely.
And there's so many weird off-brand stuff. And as
powerlifting's grown, fitness has grown even faster, so there's a billion new companies popping up left and right.
They come and they go, they come and they go, and they come and they go,
Yeah, what they call pump and dump, where they try and get as much, like they'll try and raise, as much money as possible, sell a lot of stuff. Then they'll lose their reputation once people examine what's actually in the supplement, find out it's bunk, and then they're gone.
There's like pump and dump, like Spike their stuff.
Oh no.
Because I've heard from,
amino spiking or
no, like put steroids in it.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, light.
Yeah, which it is a thing. Like some people are like no,
It happens.
it's a thing. Yeah,
No, it
Yeah,
happens.
it definitely happens.
because steroids like aren't as expensive as some people think either.
Yeah.
Like it's not $1 billion for some company to
Right.
take the risk,
Right.
Quote unquote risk. I'm doing some fingers here for the audio listeners of throwing some whatever in their first batch so people
Yeah.
get good results from it.
Yeah.
Isn't much of a marketing
And
risk.
you don't have to do an injectable to
No,
really,
yeah,
and
there's a
that's
million
sort of
things.
an old school way of thinking that like if I'm not injecting it, I'm not really doing
Yeah.
it. That's not true anymore.
Yeah, well, and if you're following WADA rules, there's different stimulants that are illegal.
yeah.
There's a bunch of different things beyond just that.
Medications.
Yeah,
Even
pure
caffeine,
steroids.
a super high amount, I think, is not
Marijuana?
legal? Yeah,
Marijuana's legal
what's
in
going on?
half of America.
Yeah, what's going on?
You can't smoke a little pot and do some squats.
Man, I want a little bit of that, man. Come on.
Which is so funny because it does like the opposite of what you wanted to do. Anytime.
Yeah, it like lowers
You know?
testosterone. And makes
You're
you
like,
tired.
I don't think I'm gonna hit that squat.
Chills you out. Yeah, I don't want to train.
Fuck it, bro.
I don't
Where's
feel
the
like
video
it.
game
Give me a
expo?
brownie.
Yeah, come on.
WADA's ruining our eye.
Jen, let me ask you, what's next for you?
What's next for me?
Yeah.
After this weekend?
Yeah.
Yeah, and just in
life.
general.
Oh,
yeah,
just in life.
Because you're finally getting kind of the recognition that you deserve. Like I saw you in Meg Squat's videos, and just like also like Gigi Mufu when you said that.
Yeah.
What's coming up next for you? Like,
Well, you
what are
never
some of the
know,
goals?
right? It's
No.
pretty exciting just that different people want to have me on their shows,
Yeah,
which I
cool.
think is really cool. I enjoy doing this stuff.
That's
it's
cool.
so much fun. So I don't know. Right now, like I try to just clear my calendar because I've got the Worlds coming up. So I had a couple opportunities to do different things, but like to me, like my kids are doing baseball.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so it's highly important to me that I'm there watching it. And then training. Like my training suffers if I'm traveling a lot. So
You're talking to the
Right.
weakest, fattest wannabe powerlifter.
Well,
We
that's
know.
our excuse always.
Yeah, we know. I travel,
so
bro.
we have like an Iron Sisters training camp up in Madison, Wisconsin.
Cool.
Okay.
I think like April
I've heard that place is
13th.
awesome. Everyone thinks of Wisconsin. You're like, yeah, but I've heard it's. I've heard
Even
really
when I
good
was in
things.
Michigan, I heard it was a pretty great place
Yeah.
to go. So I'm excited to go there. And then that's the last thing I'm
Cool.
going to do till after the summer.
Focus in. Well,
Focus
I
in.
vote right here. This is going to go down in history.
World's
It should
strongest
happen.
mom. Oh, I thought
That's
you
all-
were-
that's all for
Because you
sure.
are, and you're on
That's
the
all
Mama's
for
Boys
sure.
podcast.
I think you should be on Joe Rogan's podcast.
Oh, I listen
yeah.
to him. I like
I
him.
think,
yeah.
I think you would be the best candidate to lead the powerlifting way there. That's
the
my
movement.
vote.
And you would break a lot of stereotypes being on there.
100%.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think because he interviews, ultra marathoners and this and that, and
Extreme
people and this,
athletes
all
of
this
any,
stuff. I think
variety of
you're my vote, and if I had any power, which we have 1% power, we'll find a way.
1%. That's not
1%
zero.
is
That's
not
not
zero.
zero.
Yeah,
You
there's
know,
a chance.
math
Are you
teacher.
saying there's a chance?
Yeah, you're saying there's
We're going to put our word in. We're going to find a way to make
Yeah.
that happen because I think you deserve that and you'd be the voice of the people.
Yeah.
The people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great ambassador, and also just the way you speak and the way that you convey it. And again, I think people have, when they hear powerlifting or what it means, to have maybe some negative connotations
I think
associated
so.
with it. And so I
Yeah.
think you could really dispel some of those.
I think we're getting rid of a lot of that sort of meathead
Yeah.
kind of thing. Like, it's so funny, like when you run powerlifting meets and you're trying to find venues, nobody wants you there because they think you're like these angry,
Yeah.
throwing things down on their basketball court floor
Yeah.
and stuff. So I think we're definitely getting, and a lot of that's kind of like what we're talking about, just setting examples, putting yourself out there,
Yeah.
walking the walk.
Where can people find you? Social media and things.
Instagram is Jen Thompson 132.
Yeah.
I don't really do Snapchat anymore because it's just too dang complicated.
Yeah.
It's lame.
It's dead. It's
I
dead. Yeah.
tried for a while and I just kept hitting the wrong buttons and it wasn't where I wanted to. And I'm like, So I basically just do that. I have 132 pounds of power and Thompson's Gym Facebook pages.
Okay, there you go.
And then we got a couple YouTube channels, 132 pounds of power and Thompson's Gym. I just sort of put things on there randomly every once in a while.
Yeah, lifts. And
I'm not
training.
doing like 3 podcasts a day on there.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
But anytime something hits us funny, like we just did a video on RPEs, it was a spoofy video.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I'll have to
Yeah.
watch it.
Yeah.
We,
Watch
we
it.
put that on there. And then sometimes it's serious tutorial. Like I have a whole bench press series on that I made like 12 years ago.
cool.
Wow.
People still watch it and talk
That's
about
very
how
cool.
great it was. I keep thinking I need to update it
Yeah.
at some point, but
Yeah.
I don't know that I would add anything different to it. It's still
Fair.
it's still very true to what I do today. So I don't know. It's there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
And our camps, Iron Sisters USA.
How do they find out about those? Is there a website or
Yeah,
Facebook?
IronSistersUSA.com.
There you go.
I think
That's a
there's
cool
Facebook
website.
somewhere.
Yeah, go check those out. I
Yeah.
recommend that.
Yeah, I'll say, Jen, thank you so much for being on our podcast, the world's strongest mom on the Mama's Boys podcast. And then I'll just say in closing, for those that are interested in the merchandise, the Mama's Boys, we got some retros 90s stuff, which we have to send you, mamasboyspodcast.com.
Nice. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. Leave us a rating or review. We appreciate you guys, and we'll catch you in the next one.
Peace.